what I've done since the last time you guys were with me. I have sprayed the centers of the command module with the white, and I'm sure that it isn't coming through as well on the camera, but I am absolutely loving the gradation effect. It really looks really good. We're still going to dust this up a little bit. Thinking about using some pastel chalk just to give it kind of a dusty appearance, because obviously this will be all covered with moon dust. So we've got that done, and that is looking really good. And what I've now done is drilled some holes. When you put together this service module piece, there's still some pods that come out here on the end before we build the cage around it, but drill out holes in the tops of these conduits. You have to look in here. There's a seam where that comes together, and so drill a hole on one side of the seam for one side, and the other side of the seam obviously for the other side. And then I'm going to run the wires down through here. So I have my wires. I don't have magnet wire, but this big spool of wire on the Amazon is like, I'm not even joking, I think it was $3. It might have been a little bit more than that. I might have even been 10, but it was super inexpensive, and it's more wire than any right person's going to use in their lifetime. So anyway, I've got my wires cut out here. I don't know what I'm going to do. I just got to pick two wires, and say one of these colors is positive, one of these colors is negative. There's no rhyme or reason to it, as long as I remember and keep it straight. And then what I'll do, so apparently here I've chosen green and purple. And then what I'm going to do is start braiding this together. That's what I don't have, is this wire already pre-braided, so you got to do some manual labor. I'm going to braid this together, and then I'm going to run this through here, through these lower conduits, so that each leg is going to have, each landing pad is going to have a wire, a set of wires, two wires running to it. And then I'll bring in the wires from the command module, and we'll solder that all together, and we'll have only two wires coming out going into the transportation pod. Okay, so when we get a little bit further, I'll come back and show you guys the progress. Okay, so here is an update. This is the command module, goes directly behind, or the service module directly behind the command module. So I have a set of two wires coming out the left side, a set of two wires coming out the right side, a set of two wires coming out the back, a set of two wires coming out the front. They're braided together into two main sets that have a set of both colors bound together. I'm going to solder like color to like color, and then I'll solder like polarity to like polarity. So for instance, on the purple and green, this is purple and green, the green wire is going to be positive, the purple wire will be negative. On the yellow and brown, the yellow wire will be positive, the brown wire will be negative. So I'll be soldering green wires to yellow wires, purple wires to brown wires. Okay, so I'm going to get that all soldered together and sealed up, and then I will come back and show you that. Okay. So this looks like a mess. It looks like a spider web, but I have everything wired up here. So the yellow and brown lines come in, and they're connected here. And then the green and purple come in, and they're connected here. So
The state has violated it during every redistricting cycle.
Well, actually,
Civil rights attorney
the yellow and brown
Garza
come
says
in,
he's seen
then the
both
green and the
parties bring
purple,
up
which are
communities of color
negatives,
in Texas.
and the
And
yellow
he
and the
doesn't
green,
think
which are
this cycle will
positives.
be any
That's
different.
what I meant to say. So if I confused you, I'm sorry. I was confusing myself as well. But I have yellow and green, which are positives that come in and are connected here, and then brown and purple that are coming in and are connected over here. So we've got positive and negative connected, and then I'm going to put some of this liquid tape on here to seal this up. I've talked about this stuff before.
There's an election filing deadline at the end of the year.
That doesn't leave
It's
much
kind of
time
just a
for
big
the
old
redistricting
goo,
process to actually
but
take place, which is very concerning.
what's
to
nice about it
a
is
lot
it
of
goes
advocacy
wherever you
groups
want
on
it,
the ground in the
and
state
it
who would like to
covers
see a
as
robust
much as you want it to
public
cover.
process take place.
This is why groups say even before redistricting in Texas
And
has
then
formally
you just got to
begun,
let this
that
dry,
law likely end in court. For NPR News,
which
I'm Ashley Lopez
is
in Austin.
kind of a long process, but it's rubber, so
might start with an answer like this man picked one of the highest
I guess in that way it's not really surprising. But now everything is wired up in this junction box, and then I will close this up, glue it together, and finish the junction box. We're going to spray some black detailing and then come back with our light gray over the whole thing, and then just maybe even that'll be it for these junction boxes. And then what I may come through and do is some dry brushing. Like there's some detail on top of these spheres here that look like some hydraulics or something like that. So I may come back and just dry brush that with just some silver, and even hit just some of these other highlights just to make that stand out. But anyway, the next time we come back, I'll have this closed up, and we'll be ready to start running our lights to the legs. All right, so I will see you guys then. So the paintwork on the command module is all finished. So any kind of weathering or anything I'll do beyond this point, I'll do with the black areas exposed. So we're ready to go ahead and start taking off the mass and see what's underneath. Okay, so that is the first piece of tape that is opening up the inside view of the cockpit. So that's opening up the window. And actually, I do have a little bit of touch up to do along the top edge where I had that mask. And I kind of figured that that was going to be the case, so I'm not surprised about that at all. And that's, if it wasn't there, I would have been delighted, but I figured that there would be something there. All right. So here we go. Oh, that's a shame. Okay, well, that is really a kick in the butt. So the mask pulled up the black paint that I had put on there, pulled just about all of it up, and the rest of it that it didn't pull up looks like I could pull it off, which is disappointing because I had actually sanded this original coat of gray primer, that's sanded really, really well. I don't know how that black, I don't know what else it could have done to stick. But that's what happens. So I'm going to pull off the rest of this and see how bad the damage is. So I will show you guys that and let you know what I intend to do about it when I come back. Okay, so this is the result. Somehow on the bottom panels, I was able to get the mask off without pulling off the paint, except for a little stripe right there on the bottom. But that's a lot easier to fix than this is going to be. And what I'm afraid of is that if I mask this off to be able to lay this primer back down, or I probably won't use the Vallejo primer, I'll probably use something different. Am I going to pull off the paint that's around here? Because if that happens, then I really am in a bad way. I mean, I pretty much at that point have to go back and start over from scratch, which would really be a pain in the butt. But what I'm going to do is leave that leave that paint cure for a while, um, maybe even most of a week, and see if that will allow it to be adhered enough that I can mask over it. But if anybody's used this Vallejo paint surface primer, uh, and if there's a trick to it that I'm not doing, I mean, I'm just spraying this pretty much straight out of this bottle in a Pashy H airbrush that I've shown you guys before, is what I did with the black. The white I did with the Pashy Talon. Um, but if there's a trick to this that I don't know, then somebody please let me know if you know what it is. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens on that. In the meantime, I've got plenty of work to do. So I've got this now sealed up, and I'll let this cure for about an hour or so. Now, what I have done is I did go ahead and wire one of these nanos to three of these wires, and then wiring harnesses, and then one to the power source, just to confirm that all my wiring was sound. So what you don't want to do is seal this up and find out that one of your solder joints isn't good or whatever, because that'd be a pain in the butt. So I made sure that everything was working. Then I went ahead and nested the wires, because you got plenty of room inside here. Glued this top on. Now I'll put on the side units and then start working on the frame. Before I do that, obviously, I'll do some painting in here. This is going to be pretty dark, with then some just brushed on highlights, because a lot of this, is fairly obscure and wouldn't be seen. But it's nice that we get so much detail on the kit. So that's where we're at, and hopefully by the time we talk again, I'll have this mostly put together, and I might come back and just show you some of the painting on this, and then be thinking about what I'm going to do with this command module. That was really a bummer. Okay, so here is where we were at since the last time that you guys got an update. What happened was, obviously, you remember, I pulled off the mask on the command module, and all of my black came up, which was a bummer. But that just meant that I had to go back to basics and mask everything off and repaint it, which I have now done. It turned out really well, but I just wanted to tell you, when I did that, what I was afraid of is that this Vallejo primer that I was using may have been a little bit soft, and so I went back and sealed this. I knew I was going to put clear on it before I put on decals, so I went back and sealed this with clear, and I wanted to use something that was a little bit hotter than the acrylics that I was using, and so I sealed it with a clear enamel. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to use a hotter paint, meaning it's more volatile, could eat through the existing paint, then what you want to do is, spray in really light coats and build the layers up over time, which is what I did with the command module. And then I taped everything off, and when I pulled off the tape, everything looked good. So that's what I did. I just have a little bit of touch-up painting to do on that, and then we'll be good to go with the command module. I finished both of the service modules. This is the front service module, so it has wires going to the command module to both legs, and then actually this would be the command module to both legs, and then to the service module, or to the pod transport module. Then this is the engine module, so it's got a wire going to the transport module and then to both legs. What I ended up doing is, these are the little gas tanks that go on the outboard here of this engine, or this service module. I have to thread these through here to be able to put them on. And these go on like so, like this, sit on here like this. And what ended up happening is that I was gluing these together, and on the last one that I was gluing together, I actually had a clip. I had one of these spring clips on it, holding it together. And if you work with spring clips, then you know this clip snapped, it came loose, and it shot my pieces across the room. And I found this one, and for the life of me could not find the other one. My wife has been down here searching for it, and so I did call Round 2, which their parent company I think is Auto something. Anyway, Round 2 NPC. I called their customer service, and they actually charge a fee for replacement parts that you don't have a receipt for. And I buy everything online, and I probably could have located the receipt. I don't remember exactly where I bought this kit. I didn't have the receipt handy, so I went ahead and paid the fee, and that is now on the way. I'm hoping that I will receive that in the next couple of days to be able to finish that out so that I can put these together. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is put on some black here, and then go over this in a light gray, and then put on some white. But what I did was, I have this wire here. I just have tons of this wire that's on a spool. I bought it off of Amazon for, I'm not even kidding, like $4, and it's just these individual wires of different colors on the spool. So what I usually do is use the lighter color of any pair is positive and the darker color is negative, and I always do that, so it doesn't matter what color I use, but I always know which one's positive and which one's negative. And then I take two of these wires like this, and I actually will start braiding them together like so. And then once I have it started, all you got to do is just twist the wire through your fingers, and you will get a braided wire. Now that one obviously didn't work. You have to get it started so that it doesn't come apart, and I did not do that. So get it started with a good twist so that it won't ever come apart. And then when you twist it through your fingers, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm twisting this through my fingers, and what I'm getting then, again, it came loose because I didn't get it. Now I'm making it look like it's a big deal, and it's really not. You just have to make sure that what you have started won't come apart. and then when you twist it through your fingers, what you end up with is a piece of braided wire. So these braids are all positive and negative, and obviously I've got tons and tons and tons of leftover. I always cut those really, really big so that I can snip these off. I'd rather have too much than too little wire. But basically, ran the 3 wires through the holes that I had drilled out. In these, I had to drill out conduits from the top here, and then brought all the wires through, connected all the positives, connected all the negatives, soldered those together, and then used my liquid tape to insulate those, and then glued the tops on, and that gave me my 2 finished modules. So I'm going to go ahead and start some of the detail paint on this, and when I've got something more to show you guys, we will come back. Got just a couple of things left to do before I'm going to go ahead and close up this video. So the first one is that I need to cut out these bulkheads and put them onto this service module that faces the back of the command module. I probably really don't actually need these. I'm going to mount this command module so that it is not removable, and so this probably will never ever be seen, but since I have it, I feel like I just need to go ahead and do that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is put together the spine, and then we'll be able to connect the 2 service modules to the spine, and then what we'll have left will be the engine assemblies and the passenger pod, and the model will be done. I've been thinking a little bit about the base, so let me just kind of show you what I am thinking about that. So I ordered a model base from Green Strawberry, which is the moon base, landing pad base, and I like this setup. You get a really nice piece of plastic to mount this moon base landing pad on, but this is obviously quite small. So I was a little bit surprised by that. I don't know why I have this. I don't know if that goes underneath it. I'll have to look at that a little bit more. But it's obviously quite small. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to go ahead and use the rod for the stand, and I will put this in the center, and then I will have the model hovering just above this base, and I think that'll look pretty good. So that is my plan for the base. I'm not quite ready to start that process yet. The passenger pods for this model are connected with a couple of screws, which is a fine way to do that, but when I connect the passenger pod onto the spine, I'm going to go ahead and use rare earth magnets so that passenger pod will essentially be disconnectable, just in case there would ever be a reason to disconnect that in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff together and finished, and I'll come back and show you that, and we will call this video done. I'm sorry about the jitteriness of the film. Don't have my tripod today, but actually I didn't want to be on the tripod today anyway, so I'm going to try the freehand camera, and hopefully it isn't unwatchable. Okay, so this is basically the mock-up of where I wanted to be to end this video, so the command module is not obviously attached to anything. And the truth is that this spine is not either. I'm going to hit the spine one time with just a little bit of white mist, and that'll be done. and the service modules are done. So I went ahead and installed this. This one is the plastic ones. The plastic doors face the passenger pod. So this was that Paragraphics kit door for the service module. I went ahead and installed that. As I said, the command module is not going to be detachable on this model, so you're never ever going to see that, but I went ahead and installed it. So these are done and ready and to be joined to the spine. The spine is just about ready. Like I said, it's going to get hit as soon as we're off camera with a little bit of white mist, and 10 or 15 minutes after that, once it's dry enough to work with. So it might be a little bit longer than that. We're going to go ahead and glue that much together, and that's going to be where we're going to be finished. So I will come back and show you once we've got the landing struts put together, and we will probably by then also be having work done on the passenger pod. All right, so I will see you guys soon.